Okay, so that blood transfusion is very important topic, and we have to discuss along with hemorrhage, because whenever there is a blood bleeding is there, so that may require that transfusions, or some other conditions also that may require the blood transfusions. Hmm. So I'm not going to the history of the blood transfusion, and that how it starts and who it starts and initially whatever done. So that is the history part. You just read in the books. Uh, we just discuss here the real stuff that especially two type of the blood transfusion uh, is in practice: homologous and autologous. Okay, homologous blood is that when a person receives the blood of from the same species, that's human receive blood from the any human donor, and the autologous blood transfusion is the when the same person receive the blood, his own bloods. Okay, so this is under practice is some especially planned cases. Just somebody is some healthy person is has to go in a surgical procedure where there is a possibility to lose lot of bloods. Okay, or some any accidental cases where the person got an accident, some healthy person got an accident and having heavy bleeding. So in that part, in that condition, if the blood is not available for that same blood group, okay, same blood is not available. So one thing can be done in the case of that patient is healthy and he has planned any surgery after 3 to 4 weeks. So before the surgery, 3 weeks before the surgery, patient can donate his own blood. Okay, and that can be used at the time of the surgery if there is requirement of the if there is any requirement. Okay, so that is the autologous transfusion, when the person receive first donate his own blood and receive his own blood after the 3 weeks when it is required during the surgery. And sometimes during emergency surgery, if somebody due to injury, suppose somebody get a trauma and injured and ruptured his spleen, so there is a huge bleeding collected in the abdomen. So in that case, that blood is connected and processed. That blood, clotted blood is collected and processed, and that can be used in the same person after the post operative period, during the post operative period. Okay, so that is the autologous blood when the same person receives his own blood. And homologous blood is that means any person, any man or woman receiving the blood from any other man or woman. Okay, so that's why the bleeding is very important things. Okay, so the blood is that thing which is not easily available in the market. Okay, so that should be very judiciously used. Okay, and we have to means think twice before starting blood transfusion to any patients. Okay, because the resources are limited. Nobody want to donate the blood. Okay, that's why it's not available in the access, and it cannot be processed in the laboratory. It cannot be generated in the laboratory. So that's why it should be very cautiously when it is required. Only that when it should be used. So next, that before we starting transfusion, we should just a little idea how the blood is collected. Huh? So before the taking blood from any person, uh, there must be a screening for that hemoglobin level of that person. uh, and any if any systemic illness, patient should be general condition of the patient should be well, and some infective cases, that hepatitis B, hepatitis C, HIV first, second, and the syphilis. So these are the few screening things which are usually done in every case of the blood donation before taking blood from any patients. Okay, and that the donor blood must be checked for that ABO and RH factor, means for the categorization of the blood, from the storage of the blood. You should know the which type of blood we are collecting, no? So that's why blood group is also done in every patients. And maximum 410 ml or total volume is taken from a single person in the single time. Okay, and a person can donate in three or 6 month. Every 3 or 6 month, a healthy person can donate his 1 unit blood. There is no problem, because whatever the RBCs are, the plasma is 400 ml if taken. So whatever the plasma is restored within 24 hours, and that RBCs are can be restored in 7 to 8 days easily. Okay, so no, there is no problem in donating the blood in every 3 or 6 months if you are healthy. Okay, and so next, these are few things that we should take always. Uh, Take the blood from the healthy persons. Okay, because we cannot afford that one patient is diseased. Okay, and we are taking that the blood and giving to the another diseased person, so we are making one diseased person in the process of curing of one patient. Okay, so these should be keep in mind, and always these screening process, these are very protocols are strictly, these protocols are followed. So rarely the whole blood is that these are that when we talk about the blood transfusion, in that means the whole blood is not transfused from the one person to other person. It was previously done, but nowadays we process the blood, and we aggregate so many things in so many things, and that can be used separately for the person according to the requirement of the patients. Okay, so these are the six are the products that prepared from the complete blood. So first is the whole blood. So whole blood, these are the stored because when you take the blood from a person and keep for the storing, then there is always required of the anticoagulants, otherwise blood will be clot and it will be destroyed. Okay, so anticoagulants are always required. So there are two type of the regimen of the collecting the complete blood, that is CPD and CPDA. So CPD means there is the citrate, phosphate and dextrose. Citrate, phosphate, dextrose, these are the group of the anticoagulants which are mixed with that blood. When we take the 410 ml blood and mix the 75 ml of the anticoagulants, so make them that complete blood can remain for the 3 weeks. Okay, so we can store for the that self of life of that blood is 3 weeks. And when we use the CPDA, where the adenosine is added in this anticoagulants, so there is the life improve up to the 5 weeks. Okay, so these whole blood is used for the auto transfusion, where the same person is receiving his own blood, and this can be this blood is stored in the 2 to 6 degree temperature. Okay, so these bloods, this can be used where the whole blood is required to the person, means that person requires his own blood, or any other condition where that RBCs, hemoglobin level is also low and the circulatory volume is also low. So in that condition, whole blood is used. Next is the packed red cells, where the main content is the RBCs. Okay, so RBCs are separate from the plasma, and that keep that RBCs are just stored for into 2 to 6 degrees temperature up to that 3 to 5 weeks. Okay, so here are also two regimens. The most recent regimens are in which the that packed cell are stored, that is SAGM. SAG means S for saline, A for adenine, G for glucose, M for mannitol. So SAGM means these are regimen, means these the blood is mixed with these anticoagulants and keep in the 2 to 6 degree temperatures, 2 to 6 degrees Celsius temperatures, and can be stored up to the 5 weeks. The previous region was that regimen was CPT, which already discussed in the whole blood. Okay, so that each 1 unit of packed red cells contain 330 ml of that blood. Means that the whole amount is the 330 ml of the packed red cells, which is used in the patients where the patient is anemic and the patient is required the red cells. Okay. Uh, Next thing is the fresh frozen plasma, where here we are extracting the plasma from the red cells. Okay, so any patient which requires the plasma, okay, and not the red cells, means the patient hemoglobin is means within normal level, and the patient doesn't require raise in the hemoglobin, but the patient requires plasma because the plasma is very rich in the coagulation factors. All the coagulation factors are stored in the plasma, is there in the plasma. So any the patient of the coagulopathy where the coagulopathy is developed and the coagulation process is not well in any patients, that patients require the fresh frozen plasma. So these should be stored in the minus 40 to minus 50 degrees Celsius temperature, and it can be stored up to the 2 years. Okay, so it has very high uh, shelf life. So that this can be stored up to 2 years. So next thing is the cryoprecipitate. So this is the next level of the fresh frozen plasma. When the fresh frozen plasma is uh, precipitate. Okay, so in the very cold temperature, so that reniment of that supernatant precipitate of the fresh frozen plasma is called the cryoprecipitate. This is very rich in the factor 8 of the coagulation. There is so many coagulation factors are there na, 13 coagulation factors are there na. So in which the factor 8 is very important factor, and the cryoprecipitate are very rich in factor 8 and fibrinogen. Okay, so if the patient required especially the factor 8 and fibrinogen, in that case the cryoprecipitate should be infused. Okay, these should be stored at with minus 30 degrees centigrade. Okay, and this can be stored up to the 2 years. Okay, so cryoprecipitate are the use basically that fibrinogen and factor 8 are especially produced in our body in the liver. So any patient having the liver disorder, whichever the liver function is not correct, and patient cannot produce the factor 8, so patient may go into the coagulopathy. That in that condition the cryoprecipitate may be helpful. Okay, so next thing is the platelets. The platelets are the cells which are responsible for the main responsible for the coagulation. These are not for the hemoglobin carrier. Okay, so platelets are the cells which are mainly required for that coagulation of the blood. So these can be separate from that the blood and is stored separately and given to the patient of the thrombocytopenia. If the patient, any patient having thrombocytopenia, and there are the few conditions where the platelets are disintegrated, or the platelet cells are damaged in special conditions. That idiopathic thrombocytopenia, where the thrombocyte that the platelets are platelets count is very low. Some infective condition like the dengue fever, That is also called a hemorrhagic fever, where that platelets counts become very low. So the patient may have the condition of the coagulopathy. So to correct these things, that patients require the platelets. So these platelets had the concentration of 250 to 10 power 9 cells per liter, and these can be stored in the 20 to 24 degrees centigrade. And the minimum they had the only shelf life for the 5 days. Means if within 5 days, if these platelets are not used, then this become expired. Okay. So next thing is the prothrombin complex concentrate. Prothrombin complex concentrate, these are also used in the patient having the coagulatory disorders, because that the factor for the coagulation factor second 9 10 7. Okay, so these are very rich, these are present in high amount in these prothrombin complex concentrate. So these basically this prothrombin complex concentrate is required in the patient where we require the emergency reversal of that anticoagulant therapy. Means suppose any patient is taking the anticoagulant therapy, so if you require that condition to reverse, okay, that anticoagulation therapy is reversed, is to be reversed. In that condition, prothrombin complexes concentrations are required to be given to that patients. And autologous blood we have already discussed. So these blood products are used in nowadays instead of the complete blood, because there is a wastage of, suppose if any patient require the platelets, okay, so so the and if you are giving the complete blood, that is the wastage of that plasma, wastage of that packed red cells. Okay, so that's why means the same amount of blood can save the can help so many patients, because the requirement of that different patient should be the different. Okay, so now we discuss what are the indication of the blood transfusion, what is required. So mainly you can books in many books you can see there is so many points are there, but mainly three things are there. Okay, 3 points. First thing is that when a patient having the acute blood loss, acute blood loss in any
सर
injury. Yes.
सर जो पे एक रेड सेल जो बोला था आपने सर, वो
Hmm.
उसमें ए से जीएम कुछ बोला था, वो समझ में नहीं
वो कोगुलेशन मींस रेजिमेन है, वो एंटी कोगुलेशन में ऐड किए जाते हैं। SAGM होता है सलाइन, एडेनिन, ग्लूकोज एंड मैनिटोल।
आया।
ओके,
हाँ सर।
सलाइन, एडेनिन, ग्लूकोज, मैनिटोल। ओके, इनको मिक्स किया जाता है उस ब्लड में। ठीक है, यू कैन राइट योर क्वेश्चन, यू कैन आस्क लेटर ऑन। ओके, so these indication there are mainly three indications. First, the person having acute blood loss, and so the high to deliver the oxygen in the blood, huh? So maintain oxygen delivery and circulatory volume. So in that condition the patient is required that these blood transfusion. Second thing, the patient having perioperative anemia. Perioperative anemia means that during surgical procedure, during operative procedures, patient may go into the anemic, and that in that conditions you have to prepare. Means suppose a patient which is already anemic and have to went into the big surgery. So in that condition, during the procedure, patient may require the blood transfusion. That is perioperative. Understand thing na? Acute blood loss, when the patient is losing acute, so that patient is required blood for the circulatory volume as well as the oxygen delivery. The perioperative anemia is that patient, you should ensure that patient will not go into anemic and circulatory loss at the time of that procedure. Here you do the perioperative anemia, and here you do the blood transfusion. And third is the patient having the chronic anemia, with symptoms, means the symptomatic chronic anemia is there. In that condition, the blood transfusions are required. So I can give you the example. Just acute blood loss means the patient is a healthy patient is going to the any accident and lost so much blood, so that in that condition he also may require the blood transfusion. Perioperative anemia is that a patient which has low hemoglobin level, but he is asymptomatic and he has planned a big surgery. So during the so that the during the patient during the surgery, patient will not have any kind of the problem, so that before the surgery you have to do the blood transfusion to make the hemoglobin level enough for the surgery. And the third is that if any patient which is any chronic anemia due to any condition, due to that some where the patient is losing regular basis, patient losing blood, or patient having any kind of that medical condition where that patient is that the hemoglobin is not enough increasing in that patient, so that patient also required, means that when patient is symptomatic patient having that breathlessness and palpitations, so it means that all the symptoms of anemia is there in that patient, so these patients also sometimes require that blood transfusions. Okay, so there are so many conditions are there which may require, just that all falls under these three conditions where the blood transfusion may require. So next, the trigger for transfusion means when you have to advise a patient of the blood transfusion. If the patient has hemoglobin level less than 6 gram per deciliter, then the patient must will go into the blood transfusion. If the patient has hemoglobin level between 6 to 8, okay, so in that condition you have to just calculate the benefit and the loss, and the patient is actively bleeding or having pending surgery. In that condition, patient may require the blood transfusion. Okay, if the patient has hemoglobin higher than 8 and patient is not losing any kind of the blood, in that condition the blood transfusion is not required. Okay, so previously it was considered that hemoglobin 10 is enough, below 10 the blood transfusion is required, but nowadays above 8 blood transfusion is not required until unless patient is not actively losing any blood. Okay, so this is during the before blood transfusion there are few things just like that cross matching. This is very required. Cross matching, you in the physiology in the first year we already have uh, you know all these cross blood groups A B O groups, and that rhesus RH factors. Okay, so there is, you know that A B O A B. There are four blood groups: the blood group A, blood group B, AB, and O. Okay, so here that which person can give to the patient, which that A can give to the A, B can give to the B. Okay, and uh, the AB can take blood from the A and B and O. Okay, so AB is called universal recipient, and O can give to any person, that is called O universal donor. Okay, and positive negative is that RS factor. So positive should be given to the positive, and positive and negative should be given to the negative. So before that doing transfusion, okay, so that cross matching is very much essential. We must do the cross matching before doing before transfusing start transfusion of blood to any patients. Okay, so it was, although it was done in the laboratory, that blood should be cross matched when the patient that blood any donor give the blood in that that time that it was screened and the blood groups are uh, cross matched which blood group is there. But before start transfusion, as a doctor, we must sure that the correct patient is receiving the correct blood, so that that manual cross matching is always required. Okay, so in that manual cross matching, nothing is very the process is easy, not very typical. You just have to take the few drops of the serum of the recipient, okay, and few drop of the cells of that from the donor, okay, and mix them on the slide and keep for the 5 to 10 minutes. If that clotting is there, then you must avoid this. Okay, if there is no clotting, then you can infuse the blood in the patient. Okay, this is very simple procedure. Okay, so how you take the serum from the patient recipient? Just draw few ml of the blood and keep in the syringe for the 5 to 15 minutes. Then there is clotting is happened and the blood is segment, and there is the precipitate and there is a serum. You can separate the cells and serum. In that condition, you can use that serum and take the fresh blood from which are you're going to infuse. Take the few drops from that and drop and keep in one slide, okay, and mix them and just let it for the few 5 to 10 minutes. If it is coagulates, then and definitely the blood group is not matching. If it is normal, then you can infuse the blood. Okay, so the procedure, what are the procedure of the blood transfusion? You must explain the patient and attendant that you are doing the blood transfusion, and what should be the what may be the possible complications, and what may be the possible some transfusion reaction may be there. So you must have to educate the patient that before starting blood transfusions. Okay, next thing, you always check the patient's vitals, so that you are choosing the that patient is uh, ready to receive the blood. All the vitals should be normal. Chest should be normal, heart should be normal, okay, respiration should be normal, okay, and patient should be uh, and you have to cross check the blood, that all the labeling of the blood and all the level to the patient, that correct patient is receiving the correct blood. And you have to enter all the detail of that pack that packet which are you going to infuse. You have must have entered all the details of the date of manufacture, the numbers, blood groups, okay, all the things you have to mention in on the file of the patients. Okay, so you can show that the correct person is receiving the correct blood, so that all that complication should be, and you can avoid all the complications. So I think the time is over. You all just log in again, so that we will start again class. Okay.
So